Welcome to Dance Vision. I'm George Garcia.
And I'm Christy Coté.
Christy will be demonstrating with me today the Argentine Tango Leaders Technique video. Before we start dancing, the first thing we think about is the embrace, or the different types of embrace. We can start first with an open style embrace, also known as salon. We stand facing each other, a little bit of space between us, with the gentleman's arm to his side in a very relaxed manner, allowing the woman to have a very comfortable position with her right arm. His right arm goes very casually around her back, not very firm, but just enough to let her know that he's there and he's making connection with her. This will show you from the other side. So her arm is just embracing me in a very light way. There's not very much tension, but there's a very nice connection. We don't use the arms in Argentine Tango to lead. It's coming from the body, but the arms are to keep our partner close to us during the various movements. There are other embraces, such as close embrace, which would be much closer to the partner, and his right arm goes around the partner. And there's various types of close embrace. There's one that is quite square to the partner, which is very popular in Buenos Aires. I'll show you this way. You can see that our feet are in line with each other, and this is a very popular walking type or milonguero type of embrace, where there's a lot of walking in line. And there's also other types of close embrace which the partner is a little more offset, and this is a very showy style which is very popular in some of the famous shows and famous dancers. And this has another technique also. It's also very beautiful. So whatever embrace you take, usually it's very comfortable for the follower. The follower is very square to your chest, and she's in balance. So it's whatever position you're in, you're always very balanced and very comfortable. The more comfortable the follower is, the more likely she'll want to dance with you again. All right. Okay, we'll start off with some walking figures just to get used to dancing in front of a partner. We'll start with the open embrace and just a basic walk. In this practice or this exercise, I'm trying to walk as close as possible to the follower's feet. And I'll show you from this angle. I'm trying to step in line with her, as close to her as possible. The closer I can dance, just barely touching her foot, the more precise our balance is. If we walk a little, let's say, off the track, it just gets more and more off the track. If I try to avoid her feet, if I'm afraid of stepping on her feet, it just gets worse each time. So what I do, or what one should do, is look for the foot and just barely brush as you go, just barely touching the foot. This works very well in the open embrace and especially in the close embrace, where the close proximity of the feet gives you a very nice connection and very nice balance with the partnership. And we can do the same in the open embrace as well. Walking. So even if we walk outside partner, we can walk back in line with very nice balance and precision. And we never have to avoid our partner's feet. We're actually looking for them and wanting to know exactly where her feet are. Okay, I will show you right now a method of walking outside the partner that leads her to the cross. There's a question in tango that one always asks. What's the question?
The big mystery question. When do I cross?
Is it led or is it automatic? Okay, we'll help dispel the mystery. Walking in line with the partner, she never has to cross. The follower crosses in order to, let's say, to repair a flaw in the partnership that was created by the leader by intention. We're walking in line. Now, if I walk outside, she gets farther away, and the closest method back to him is on her next step, is to cross in front to reestablish the connection and partnership, and also that is respecting the space. So her job is to respect the space and always to come back to the partner. So when we walk in line, there's no need to cross. We walk outside. In this outside position, she knows that there may be a cross coming. If he steps back in front, he repairs the flaw himself. So sometimes there's a little play with that movement to keep the follower on her toes.
So to speak.
So to speak, thank you. So walking in line. If I walk outside and if I take one more step, she needs to cross to repair that position. We can play with the walk by walking in line, to one side, back in line, to the other side, back in line, etc., etc., etc. And there's other ways of playing with the walk. Thanks, I'm just pulling you around. Okay. One is walking in cross system, and this is very playful as well as being very useful. Even with this method, we're going to walk as closely as possible to the follower's feet. Closely as possible. We can walk on either side, walking as closely as possible. Even if we change sides, we walk closely as possible. This method here is part of a system of walking which helps us initiate back ochos in a very easy way. Not to be confused with a cross system basic, which leaves her space to cross. This particular walk is actually blocking the cross because we're still halfway in front of her body. So as long as we're still partially in front of her body and our feet are in line, I am blocking the cross and she has no reason to cross because we're still in line with each other. So we can walk from one side to the other, always searching for the feet, very much in line with our partner, very balanced, and at the same time very elegant. Now, leading the cross. Let's see. I think that if we dance very square, you wouldn't need to cross. Let's say if we're in line, no need to cross. What if I dance square this way? She really wouldn't need to cross either if he's holding her square because she wouldn't be able to. If we walk this way and I held her square or flat, I'm forcing her to walk straight back, which can be done, but why? We'd rather dance in front of our partner. So if we went to, let's say, step 2, went outside partner, if we respect the space and the embrace of the partner, we will always be facing them, and this movement helps open that right leg so that she can easily cross to make that correction of the embrace. If I stay out, the easiest way for her to correct it is just stepping in front. We'll show from this side. I'm initiating the cross or inviting it by opening toward her. This takes her right leg back, allowing her left leg to close.
Kind of helps me go to the cross when George's upper body turns with me as I cross. He walks with me outside, and then as he rotates and I cross, we end up square to one another. That feels really comfortable.
Yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. We're feeling like we're dancing together. Nothing is forced.
This is a good idea.
Yes. Effortless dancing is very nice. Beautiful. Okay, one of the things I'd like to explain is the intention of your direction. Knowing where you want to go and the follower understanding or communicating your intentions in a very clear way. If I walk forward, I won't look with my feet because my feet have no intention. Everything must come from the body, the core. And a nice exercise I like to use is putting the hand on the chest and even on a more advanced level, using no hands whatsoever, but trying to, for the leader, to develop your intention and your let's see, magnetism, persona, strength of character, in using your own aura to move the partner. So she would be able to follow me as long as she's paying attention and has a real desire to dance, you know. She would be following my desire to move and also to move her and even to stop, because I'd be using space, using intention, which she feels. A good way of describing an intention is almost as though you were playing with a child and you wanted a child to jump with you. They imitate. She's following your intention. If you go to the side or whichever side it is, this action of the body connects with your partner that she can actually make the movements with you. If I went by myself with no intention, I leave her behind.
You left me behind.
Yes, if I went forward with no intention, I'd bump into her. But before a leader wants to even start to walk, he creates an energy that we're going to do this together, and he doesn't go until she does. This is something to keep in mind in all the styles of tango that you dance, whether it be tango, milonga, valse, milonguero style. Everything comes from the body and from your intention. I think that's it for this chapter, and we'll go to the next. This segment right now will be on forward ochos. Probably the first forward ocho you'll experience is probably from the fifth position or the cruzada. We'll go to there. This position is known as the cruzada, or known as...
Fifth position.
Yes, very good, very good. Have you danced before?
Yes, a few times.
Okay, okay, all right, excellent. Okay, now how do you lead the lady to the cruzada, let's say from ochos to the cruzadas? We make sure that her weight is on her left. So if we're on our right side and we send her to the side, she has a free foot with her left. We want to make sure that she's transferred by just giving a little body rotation and just a little bit of a circular movement outward, which helps release her right leg so she can make that forward walk. From there, she's making a series of forward walks. Forward, and I keep her on her balance, forward and balance. Every time she steps, a good leader, gives her balance and is always connecting and communicating the whole time. It's not her job to always complete a movement by herself, because if there's no communication, she stops. If there's no more information coming, she stops, like a machine. No more. If an engine doesn't have any fuel, it stops. So the fuel that we're giving her, or let's say the information, is the lead that we have. Now there's many types of forward ochos she could do, and our job is to lead them. Sometimes during the ocho we could slow it down, depending on the music. We can actually over-rotate the ocho and see if she takes it the time to start to adorn, which is very nice. Very nice, Christy. It's
Thank
pretty.
you, George.
We can reverse the ocho, but we'll do that later. We can speed them up. If we do it slow enough, she can play. If we speed them up, she just walks with us. A nice exercise, lead her to an ocho, step through. We go side, she goes forward, we step through. We go side, so only the right foot goes through. A nice little exercise. Another ocho to look at, let's see, we can overturn ochos. Ochos can be led in any direction, and I'll show from this position. The idea behind leading the ocho is invitation. If she feels an invitation to turn, and we give that invitation, she's going to keep turning. If there's no information, she doesn't do anything. But however light the information is still information, so no matter how light my information is, it's still clear, she will turn. Even with almost no movement in the hands, She's feeling information. This is very subtle, yet very important. This is what gives quality in your lead. It can be very obvious, but that's not so much fun. It's all about the guy. We want, as a leader, to create movement from our partner in a way that they don't really see it coming from us. They feel it. Whoever might be seeing you, watching you dance, would see that the follower making these gorgeous movements with almost no movements from the leader that are extraneous or let's say overdone, but rather done by a very subtle movement. So she might follow me only in the directions that I ask. But I might ask more or less or a lot. So these ochos can go wherever you direct them to go by how much you ask. As long as I ask nicely, she listens, she accepts invitation. If I don't ask, she doesn't. If I ask, she turns. So those are things about the Fort Ocho to know. Not only is it led by, let's say, the arms, but what's also very important, especially in even dancing in the open embrace or the close embrace, is to lead from the body. We ask, I'll come from this side. We ask her to pivot or turn from the body. The arms should show almost no movement. I'm going to put her hands here, and I'll take her to second position, and I'm going to ask her to do an ocho somewhere or pivot. Didn't see my body move, did you?
But I felt it.
Ah, yes. I would do it again. This time, look a little closer. I'm trying not to move my arms, my body. My body is working. It's communicating, but I'm trying not to make it too obvious in motion. That's an acquired skill. It takes something to practice. It could go in either direction. But I don't go until I've asked enough. I might even reverse direction. Tricky, huh? But it's very subtle, and it takes a trained follower to hear something that quiet. But what happens when you, even as a person speaking in a normal conversation, if you speak loudly, people start to turn you off. If you speak softly and clearly, they will start to listen clearer. And this is a very important thing about leading. Speaking clearly, softly, is much more pleasant than too loud of a lead. Okay.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. Let's go into, let's say, ocho cortados from the close embrace.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say we're walking in line. Quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, cross. Many ways of doing this, and I'll show you from the leader's position. The most popular or typical ways, let's say going to the side, outside partner, doing a cortado here, and crossing. We'll do that again in another fashion. So you'll see all these ways are accepted. Walking back with her in line, doing a little side check, crossing. That's a good one as well. Here's another one. All of these work. Walking in line, going outside, collecting, turning only the body so the woman goes all the way around you. In essence, you're showing her off. She crosses back in front, then you go walking. This is very useful at a very crowded milonga. When you're walking in a very narrow lane, especially a place like Buenos Aires, there's not very much room to dance. Whatever room you get, you have to cherish and use it well. So if you're walking in line, you can use this movement in a very small, tight way that doesn't take up very much room. So you'll like that a lot. Here's another method. Walking in line. As I rock step forward with my left, I cross my right foot behind so that I give her a path for her to take with her right foot. So she goes through very easily. I'll show that without stopping. Quick, slow. Now she can go even more around because I've prepared that turn with a little turn with my right foot. And I'll demonstrate and stop at that moment. Right there. A very slick way, a very cool way to do your tango, ocho cortados. When you collect here, you're in a perfect position to bring her all the way around if you wish. But in a movement like this, you'll have to help square up with her by bringing her all around. When she steps forward in the cross, we take a small side step with the right back into line of dance. So this is a very popular way to do this in a very tight area. And that's it for the ochos. Let's work on back ochos right now. We'll start our back ochos from a very typical position. Let's say position 2, where he syncopates and he changes the cross system. He's got his left foot free, her left foot's free. Now we can start doing our ochos. Her ochos are backward cross steps, also known as figure 8s. Now, some of the ways I'd like to describe leading the ocho is, there are good ways and there's bad ways. We'll try let's try a bad way just to demonstrate this. I'm going to lead her here, and if she stops and then I turn her, it's kind of strenuous for her. If I go, stop, and keep continuing, go, stop, and have to make all these new movements, it's a bit tiring, and sometimes it's not a lot of fun, is it?
No.
No, it's work. So she has to start to use her arms, but one of the secrets that I like to teach is using an impulse of your step to curve the woman as if you're, let's say, putting spin on maybe a ping pong ball or a tennis ball, but going around the corner and creating the impulse during the last moment of your walk. I'll demonstrate again. You can see from here. A little impulse, and that's coming from the leading side. Almost as though it's an asymmetrical push. If I go around the corner, that creates a curve, and that curve induces her ocho. And we'll show you from this angle. I go around the left, I go around the right, and I follow her every movement, collecting. If I just went arms side to side, it's a lot of work for her. And now we're using our hands, and it doesn't feel very good for her. She feels like she's just like being massaged or pushed around, but rather if
Not like massage.
Not okay.
That
Yeah.
feels good.
Okay, thanks. Okay, very good. Let's see. So this impulse, almost effortless. And for the leader, it comes almost at the end of his step. I'll show you from here, just by myself. Start with this position 2. There's a little circular action at the very end of this movement. So you go side and curve. Just at the very end, almost how I would describe a little bit of a hook. We'll show it from this way. You can see that I'm using almost like 2 tracks. I take her to one track and the other track. But one of the secrets to leading this is that I step almost a little outside of the track and I keep her toward the inside of the track. So now we're on a left track, but I'm slightly outside. And this is what helps induce the turn. If I'm on exactly the same track, she may or may not get the lead right, but this way is a more subtle. I would say it creates a bit of an impulse that her back ochos now feel effortless. So whenever she dances with me, she feels that her back ochos are very beautiful. So even without the hands, you can see that this movement is led very nicely, almost effortlessly. Let's see. Let's put it right here. And I'll try not to move my arms. And you'll be able to see that the ocho is happening with almost no movement. So I'm curving in a way around her. I can create more curve and more pivot from her the more I surround her. I go around her position, around her axis, and this is what creates a very nice movement in your ochos, and that's for just the open embrace. The close embrace, however, is a little bit of a different story. I'll show you from this position many of the popular ways that it's done, and they're all acceptable. I'll show you some alterations that I enjoy, maybe even more. Let's say starting in second position, close embrace, where we're a little bit of a close embrace, very close contact. She has a little bit of a lean toward me. I go forward in a slight diagonal, a diagonal, a diagonal, a diagonal, and I come out in the cross system, to the cruzada. That works very well. However, sometimes for me, in my mind, I'm thinking, what do I look like? I feel like I'm going down the room, walking like this. And for me, just for me, is maybe I don't know if that looks elegant for me. So I might alter this back ocho to almost follow this line of dance. And I take the ocho to the side, which helps induce a nice adornment from the follower. So it looks as though I'm stepping forward and side, forward and side, forward. I'm traveling the same direction, but it just looks like a little cleaner for me. Instead of walking with my body square in a V shape this way, my body is at a slight angle. I'm going forward and side. And for me, that's a nice alteration that works well for me. You might want to try that, or you can try anything, but this is something you might like. What's nice about this particular movement is that it induces a very nice adornment right there for the follower. Have fun with your back ochos. Another one of the important elements of Argentine tango is the molinete and the giros. The molinete is the movement of the follower around the leader, and the giro is his turn accompanying her. We'll start with what a basic molinete entails. She could start from a side or a forward or a back. Let's put her from the back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward. And that's her action around the leader. It could go in the opposite direction as well. It could be back, side, forward, back, side, forward, or changing direction, going the other way. Usually not too many because you can make your partner dizzy, but you can do it in such a way that the leader does some very nice adornments to accompany her, and we'll show you a couple of those. One important thing about leading the molinete is, for the leader, the opening of the side he wants her to go. If I'd like her to go to the left, I'll try to keep my left side open so she observes the space and closes in on the space, not leaving too much of a gap. What's important for the leader, especially in the turn to the left, is the use of his left arm. I'll show you a good way and maybe a not so good way. Keeping the left arm open invites her to go around. This opening side is like a continually opening door. And here's what happens when you start to forget that. And the hand starts to close in front of the man, and he starts to push with his, but he's actually squeezing her into one spot, so she doesn't go anywhere.
That hand does an organized job of stopping me.
Yeah,
actually.
it's like a roadblock. So you open the gate, and she goes, just like magic. And you keep that shoulder and arm in line. I'll explain just a little tip about that. I'll talk about the cut of the jacket. Keeping this arm here, a very natural position, helps a lot. You don't move this very much. All the movements come from the body. So when you open this side, it's very obvious. If I turn and leave the hand here, it blocks her and she doesn't go anywhere. So no molinete happens. So I keep opening the left side. She goes around, 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 until you want to stop or go the other way. Now, the other direction is a little bit different. Because this is the closed side, sometimes we have to make some adjustments. And if we're dancing the open style, she might move her hand down to here to accommodate the change of direction or the space or position we need to do. Let's say if we did it from a back ocho and she comes around. As long as I keep opening my right shoulder, she'll keep following the molinete. A mistake is to push her this way. She doesn't like that. Nobody likes that. It's not very comfortable. Part of the technique of the molinete or the use of the grapevine is because it's a natural movement of the side, forward, backside movement of the body. So a grapevine in a straight line, let's go this way. Let's see, she's facing the side. So if she takes a side step, now with her next step, she has to go either forward or back. And since her body is kind of swinging one way or the other, it's going to be one side and then the other in a very natural way. And this is a very popular movement in folk dancing, even in, let's say soccer or football. People are running sideways. They're doing this little grapevine because it's a natural following of the body's torque. So that's what she's doing around us. So we go around. I can follow her with a lapis and then block during the molinete. I'll show you how to do that one. This is a very popular movement of the molinete and a way to stop it. We can enter through here and we lead her around. We transfer away to our left and we keep opening the left side, and that causes my right leg to squeeze behind my left as close as possible. When we're square to each other, the left foot is released and invite this foot around and stop her right there. We'll show that again. Then I'll show you the technique. Like so. Here's a good exercise for the leader. I'll do this by myself. Starting with the left foot, stepping forward, pivoting, leaving the right foot behind, doing an enrosque, just much like the woman's adornment, but we'll do this as a man. You can turn a half turn, it could be a quarter turn, it could be almost any amount. It's always following wherever the partner is at that moment. You always face her wherever she is, and the left leg being free, scribes a circle or lapis until the moment you want her to stop. And it's also the action and the weight and momentum of this left leg that helps the gentleman turn as well. So right here, just from the weight of my leg alone, I take it forward to like the 12 o'clock position, swing it around and close it at the 9 o'clock. Maybe I can do an extension right here to block her. Or maybe I could take it a little more, make maybe a complete turn, and then a lapis and block. So this can be done on both sides. One of my favorite moves is to maybe continue the molinete with more lapis, maybe more than one, and try to keep going. But it's a lot of fun. Not too many, because if she gets dizzy, then it's not easy to get her to dance with me more. But that's a nice move to do. Lapis, wind up again, lead that step around, and you can stop her. We'll do it from this side. This time I won't stop. I keep opening the left side.
It looks so rhythmic when you do it, because there is a coordination between my steps and yours.
Yes, and this is the coordination. Thank you for bringing that up. Imagine doing a back ocho. And as her left leg comes around, I want to have the illusion that I'm inviting her foot with my foot, but I'm leading it at the same time. So it feels kind of neat. It's the momentum of my leg and the momentum of her that helps us make this turn effortlessly. So for her, she's just doing an ocho, and I might invite her around to the molinete. And it could be in both directions. So these are fun, and those are some basic techniques about the molinete. In this section, we'll be covering the different types of boleos. We'll start with a typical boleo from position 2. We're the side. Now to initiate this in a very, let's say, stable way, the gentleman may not necessarily close his feet, but keep his feet apart so that we create a bit of a triangle with the partner to us. We rotate to the left. That brings her foot around, and we rotate to the right, and that brings her foot in front. And from here, we could exit with a forward step or whatever we want to do. So that's a typical boleo. Side, we might transfer to our right, create that boleo. And this boleo is on the floor that you notice. When I bring her back, I'm not adding any energy, which would actually start to affect the movement of her leg. In this case, I'm keeping it low, keeping it on the floor. Sometimes the leg might come up and it might be very pretty. As long as there's a lot of room on the floor, there's no problem with that. But sometimes if it's crowded, the boleo would be kept on the floor. And the leader's energy that he gives would be very, let's say, lateral. If I picked up my energy, see what happened to the leg. Caught you by surprise, huh?
Yeah.
See, the body has natural impulses and instinctive reflex. What we're doing is we're tuning into the follower's instinctive reflex. Sometimes she doesn't know it, but she follows. She just follows what her body is asked to do in a very instinctive way. At this moment, I'm just giving a very slow energy. It might just turn, so she just turns her body. I'm not adding any energy. She could ornament it. Let's say if the music was very pretty, and let's say there's something very nice, some violins are coming on, and I'm leading her very slow, and she's doing it very slowly. She knows there's space and it's not going to hurt anyone. She might lift the leg here and make it very pretty, and I love this movement. Even though it's not led, it's something maybe you might be thinking, and she might be thinking it with you. That's very pretty.
I might be reading your mind.
Yes, she could be reading the mind. And in some ways, this can be led by an intention, by a little lifting up of the energy, or you can actually almost place the leg back down by giving a little down energy. It's kind of strange, but it's something that you key into your partner by your intention. It's little subtle movements which help create musicality and creativity of expression during the dance. Sometimes you can't explain it very well, but you try, find out what makes it work. Okay, back to boleos on the floor. On the floor, if the leader wished, he could create that boleo on the floor with a little bit of a rhythmic thing, which is led. Sometimes she could do it. If she has, let's say the experience, the timing, knows the music really well, she'll adorn it with you. So don't be surprised when they do something like this, because what they're doing is they're adding to the musicality of the dance. Okay, we'll try it again. Position 2. Now this time we'll change the energy. On the return, we give a little up energy, maybe, and that might pull the leg up. And if I keep the energy up, that keeps the leg up. I'm playing, sorry. It's good. Anyway, these intentions are coming from the leader. So it's quite interesting to see what you can create just by experimenting with the follower. And everybody might be different. They might have a different style of responding, which is also a very nice, beautiful thing to find out. So this might be a boleo in the air with a nice recoil. So the idea is coiling and recoil to make the boleo happen. So it's the rebounding effect of the changing of direction in her body, which creates the boleo. If I do it slow, nothing really happens. It stays low and calm. It's very pretty. If I, let's say, want to match the dynamic of some music, we might be a little more energetic, and it might be that little movement creates the aerial boleo. Keep in mind that sometimes it could be dangerous on a crowded milonga floor. So if there's space, no problem. Or you can go to the corner. Sometimes you can go to the middle of the dance floor and you can play over there. You can actually have her foot touch yours. And keeping the energy down, you can have her foot touch your other foot just to play. So you turn the boleo into like a type of planeo almost. And if you're really creative, you can lead her foot forward and drag and do some very pretty things there. And take it out again, boleo in the air or something like that. You can be very creative with that. So boleos are very interesting. Let me describe different ways boleos are led. There must be at least 20 ways, right? How many schools are there in the world?
How many dancers are there? I guess that's how many boleos there are.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a boleo. I should show it from this side. It starts very early in the action, and this I learned very early in my early tango years. It's very interesting, and it works very nicely. It's very popular, where the leg is brought up from the side step. So the leg is actually swung in its way, like a pendulum effect. And that movement, I think, is called more like a whip action or like a latigazo. So that's another type of boleo. A boleo with early energy. Okay, we'll do that, then we'll come out. And so those are very nice. And they have a bit of an angle because we take the leg as she brushes through and we swing it back and we swing it back down. Very interesting. Never felt me lead that before, huh?
No, first time.
Okay, all right. Okay. And there's also the boleo from the back ocho. And this one's a lot of fun because we lead the back ocho and we reverse directions. It could be on the floor, which is very nice. We'll do it on the floor again. Even if the movement is sharp, the follower's prerogative is safety. Keep the boleo on the floor, unless she's probably maybe doing a performance, like Christy does a lot of, or the milonga is very, very, very open. There's not too many people. Then you can play. But even then, you be careful. You never know who's behind you.
So I really always have the last call. If I don't feel safe for any reason, if I feel there's people behind me or I don't trust the leader to know better, then no matter how much energy he gives, I might keep the boleo on the floor just for safety reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've seen this happen. I've seen at the milonga where the leader's experimenting with the new toys he's learned in a workshop, and he's trying to get her to do the boleo in the air. And let's say maybe you don't. It's unsafe. We don't have the room. And he's trying to do the boleo in the air, and it's stuck on the ground. So he's thinking, gosh, I'm not leading it right. So he goes again, and it's still stuck on the ground, and he just can't lead that boleo in the air.
But really, it's just me stopping him from moving.
Yes, someone's using common sense here.
Right.
And of course, sometimes you'll try to do it slow. It'll go up in the air. But as long as it's very slow, it's not so bad. So, okay. We'll do some more boleos from the back ocho. And this time we'll use the boleo. during the change of direction. That's one of my favorites. One of my favorites lately. We'll do that again from this direction. Lead a back ocho. We lead another back ocho and we change direction and we come out together. That's another pretty way of doing a boleo or going into a molinete or something like that. Using that change of direction. Change of direction, maybe bring her around or something like that. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see. Other boleos. One of the ways that's nice to end a song in a performance, and this one you have to be careful with. This is usually on stage only, but it's something to learn because of the importance of using the impulse. If we walk and we send her impulse back, her body goes back, the leg is almost looking to step, but then there's no floor anymore, but the body's held back. So the idea is that the leg is acting as a pendulum. So we're moving the pendulum from the top. And we use this with a little impulse in the body, and not really the hands. The body is actually going first. This could be led without the hands in that movement. So there's a little impulse from the body. This can also be done in close embrace. And this way is a little more subtle because you can actually use the chest to lead with a little bit of very subtle lead from the body. Feels funny, right? There, that's what it feels like I'm stretching, almost like I'm stretching her this way. There, is that invisible?
Very subtle. Kind of hard to see, but let me tell you, it's there.
Okay. And you can end it with a step or a very fancy ending. You can do this also in the open style and do some very cute endings to songs, or sometimes very playful, straight boleo and stop. Or you can even change the direction on the boleo, and I'll show you from this, let's see, this angle, you'll see. My walk-in line, boleo, and end it. Or we might take it on the outside, boleo, and then on the outside partner. So there's many ways you can direct that boleo.
Not just for endings either, right?
Sometimes you can do them in dances and performances. Here's one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. From like the third position outside, we send a boleo, and even a forward boleo, and bring her around. That's a fun one. I like that one. But the idea is that you send her leg, and you can keep the leg in motion using momentum. Let's say we'll take a straight boleo forward and back. You'll see from this angle that I'm trying to have this feeling of just a motion going forward and back, keeping her leg in motion, nice and straight. Then I time her landing so she can walk out. And we walk out. So that's one of the important things. Even if you time the forward step, let's say she goes forward and you hold it up in there, and you can walk, and you can actually walk out backwards. Boleo back, front, and walk. So these are very interesting things that you can experiment and play with someone who wants to work these with you. And that's another interesting take on the boleo. And we'll see you with some nice boleos on the dance floor. Paradas, blocks, and sandwiches. Let's do a typical parada. A parada is a stopping of the woman or the follower. We'll use a typical place right here. We'll do that again. This time I'll show a close-up of the foot on the proper use of the foot in this parada. At this moment, when she's taking her forward step, we touch the outside of her foot, maybe by the heel or the outside, maybe by the arch. But as we rotate her onto that, or pivot her onto that, into that spot, we keep our left foot free to accommodate the turning of her body. Let's see from this side as well. I'm sorry. Try it from this angle. Ah, here we go. And we'll stop right here. The foot position, if I leave my foot on the floor with weight and she pivots into it, it will usually create some friction or some heavy contact near her toes, which might not be very comfortable, and it might ruin that nice pedicure.
That's right.
Not to mention wear out her shoes, and especially with some of the new shoe styles coming out of Buenos Aires right now, is gorgeous. Then the toes are much more exposed, so we want to protect that by keeping this foot free. So if she wanted to, she could actually move my foot a little bit, but I might not let her. So I might accommodate her pivot and then maybe put a little tone in the legs so that she doesn't go anywhere. This is how she can tell if it's truly a stop. Right here, I make contact early, just touching the foot, and she stops. If she steps over, does a pasada, what I will want to do to also protect the foot and the shoe is create a little bit of a clearance so that I don't catch her foot. If I leave my foot there, she may end up dragging the foot over, and it might not be so comfortable. If I lead her over and leave my foot there, this is actually nearly the lead for a gancho, or to stop her. If I pull her across, it's not very comfortable. It's a little messy.
I feel like I get stuck a little bit there.
Yeah, and then, then there's a little bit of, like, let's say, lack of communication, or then we start to wonder, am I following or am I leading? So right here, as I send her past, let's see, she steps over. One of the techniques I use, and there's several, is to maybe rotate the heel a little bit, so as you face her, your foot is actually moving out of the way like a little gate. Another way is just to retract it a little bit. And both work, depending on how your weight is. If I have weight on it, I might use the heel. If I have that leg perfectly free, I might just move it. She steps over, and I just might move it. So either way is very comfortable for the follower. Here's another type of prada or block, and we'll use this from a back ocho. You can see from here. I send her to back ocho, nice rotation, and I stop the outside of her foot again. Now this is one of those places where it's tempting to want to totally stand on her foot, but it doesn't look very good. We'll try it from this angle so you can see my feet positions. If I stop her here, what I'd like to do is sandwich her foot with barely touching her feet, and my heels might be closed. So I'm in a bit of a V position, which also helps her exit at the time I move away. So this gives her a way out. If I send her back, and my foot's here, and I bring her up here, it's a much more cramped, and the foot positions won't be so nice.
My path seems like I have to go out and around him rather than forward.
Right. Okay, we'll try from this. And standing here, you can make adjustments. You can step back, then she can make the touch, step over, play, etc., etc. This can be done on both sides. Even on this side, a touch. Stepping back is important. From this particular block, if I just step straight, that works. But in a way, I would like to give her a little more space, so I open my side. And we'll try from another angle. There. I open the door so she can step through. So there's many ways of coming out of that particular block. Now I move out of the way, and a nice showy move is something like this, where you just use one hand, and then you collect her again, and finish. Okay, let's talk about the sandwich a little bit. a typical sandwich from this block. Now this sandwich has many possibilities. Because we have, let's in this case, we might put all of her weight on her back foot. We could step in either direction. In this case, we might do something which could start a drag in that direction, or a different type of drag in this direction. But it's a setup of the sandwich that allows us to do these figures, which we'll explain in more detail later. This section will be on different types of barritas or sweeps. Let's go to standard sweep. This one's called the sundial because of the action it takes around the woman. We send her to her back foot, her left, and her free foot being her left. We take that foot around because there's no weight on it. And then we can exit in a typical fashion, etc., etc. I'll show you again. We can do a block. And from here, her weight is on her right, the back. We can step over. In this case, we normally wouldn't stop and go. But from here, we would just take a side step. But we'd be very careful about dragging her foot very lightly, making sure that the weight is off the foot. And much of this lead is coming from the body as well. So I'm also leading her with the upper body so that this movement here is a bit of an illusion as well. The more you can lead with the body, a movement like the sundial sweep, the easier it is for the follower.
To be the sundial, right?
To be the sundial, yes, even if there's no sun.
That's right.
So I'm leading her at the same time with the foot, so there's communication from the frame all the way down to the foot. Okay, there's another type of sweep, and this is probably more common now, and this one is a straight sweep. Let's say from second position, we send her to a back step, freeing up her right leg. In this case, we have a linear path between us that we'll be sharing. I flex my knee, she flexes hers, and we walk through very nicely. And we can actually, she can do a passada here, step over, and we'll do that again. This time we'll just go through, and we'll walk back, and we'll continue sharing the same space. And we can even go the other way where she's dragging me or sweeping me. I go back, I'm leading her.
But it looks like I'm leading him.
Yeah, and in its way, we're sort of like leading each other. That movement that you just saw that we did, like a little bicycle, is called bicicleta. A nice way to practice something like that is programming someplace else in the body, like the hands, which are very used to moving easily. And a movement like that helps program something like the leg. In this case, I think Christy's legs are already very educated, but we're just demonstrating this. It's a good way to learn. Where her foot or her leg is following my foot, and we're maintaining a contact or a dialogue in a very light way. She feels my leg contact, and I feel hers, and we're just touching, just maintaining contact until I send the leg somewhere else. And if I send the leg somewhere else with her weight, she stands there and she can do something like the pasada or enter or exit with a certain figure.
So it's a kind of a sweep, but sometimes I'm surprised and that sweep goes off the floor. And that's really kind of fun.
What's important is we don't move her balance or her axis. If I go off the floor and change her axis, we have something that's not so beautiful.
I think it's called falling.
Falling, yeah. Falling is not good for tango. So in this case, we keep her on her axis, and the foot is very light. You can do a little cradle action. These are kind of cute. You can end the step with a forward step or a back step. So as long as you're sending her to the leg with her weight in a very nice way. If we don't change her weight, she knows she'll follow the foot. And we change her weight, she might end in a sandwich position, which is kind of nice. Okay, linear sweep. And we'll start from this side of the room. We'll show you what can be done with certain changes of the foot on the leader. See, we're sharing a line, and I might choose to change feet, and she's now dragging my left, or it seems. I'm trying not to give her too much weight, or I can switch back and forth. So I drag her, and then she drags me. And to end, we just bring her in front and step out.
Keeping in mind that he's leading all of that. It's just an
Yeah.
illusion that I'm leading or sweeping you.
Okay, here's another interesting sweep, and this would be from the inside step of a molinete. Let's go from here. Very good. This is one of my favorites. I lead her to a back ocho, and I take, instead of a block here, I sweep this foot inside, and she can do a parada and step over. That's nice. Or we can change the ending and surprise her and change her balance and do a reverse sandwich where I can sweep her leg in another way by doing an enrosque. I would step forward with my right foot, very close to her, but just enough room to pass. Create an enrosque with my left to my right, release my right, and step out with a parada. And another way I like too.
Lots of sweeps in that
Lots
one.
of sweeps.
Maybe we should show them again. There's
Okay.
Many sweeps there.
Okay, let's do that one. Inside sweep and a reverse sandwich. Stepping around, turning toward her, twisting my body, stepping out. And there's one more very interesting movement at the very end of that. We'll show you this one more time. And we'll watch my left foot where it is now. As she steps over, I might lift this foot and let it down in a playful way. But a movement like that must be very close to the shoe and not near, let's say, the shin or the visible part of the stockings. And
You don't want to make any holes in the ladies' fishnets.
that's right. And don't do this if you're wearing like buckles and boots and sneakers, unless the sneakers are very soft. You can even send her back. Do something else that's interesting. Ganchos and enganches. We'll start from the position of the parada. Here's a very typical movement. A gancho starts when we lead her forward across her body and we stop her in the middle of that step. Maybe a little more to her forward step, but we don't let her leave we don't let her unweight her back step. We keep contact with her foot, her left leg here, left foot down, way down at the bottom, if you can see. My left foot heel is slightly off the floor. I take her back onto that leg, that axis, and you can see we can balance a bit, and I can lead her out. One of the important things in leading a gancho and having it clear for the follower is what I like to refer to as a shin-to-shin relationship in this particular type of gancho. This is a stop where I actually create a little hook down here where I stop her leg from going past. With my heel above, I'm actually physically blocking her foot as well as my body. When I bring her back, I flex my left leg to accommodate the movement of her body back onto its axis so we can see that the balance is very clear until I bring her forward. We'll do it again, this time from this angle. She steps over. I stop her. I stop her with my body more than my foot. If my body keeps leading, she'll go past. But I stop her with the body, and I send her back, and I create a turn to the left with my body, always facing her, and I send her out. Let's do that one again without stopping. And a little more action. Good. And she steps forward, and I stop her. Her intention is to go forward. I stop with the body, bring her back, and finish that particular figure. Here's another typical gancho. From a block, I step over. Now you notice the foot is on the opposite side. Earlier, my left foot was on the outside. Now it's toward the inside where she has a sandwich. I lead her out forward, and I stop her as well. Now, this is a place where it's very important to make the flex of the left leg. As I send her back, I create the flex in my left leg to create the space. If I don't do this, she may just hit my calf and nothing happens. It doesn't look good. Or if she's very experienced, she not feeling any communication from my leg, she'll probably just boleo because she knows that the way is not clear. Let's try it from this side so you can see. Or let's try it from this side.
Okay. This is the right side.
There we go. Now you notice if I don't flex my left and transfer my weight partially to that leg, it's blocked. So she needs to boleo as a reflex. She might try to enter and as
I
a...
might even try to collect my feet or something.
Yeah. So in this case, if I try to do this and block, it doesn't quite work. This could be led to create a forward boleo if I pressed early enough, but my intention is to follow her to her axis and to open the way. If she feels contact with the back of her thigh, that tells her that the way is clear and it's safe for her to gancho. Otherwise, she will not gancho. Let's see, we were this way. Let's try this again. She touches, she steps over, I stop her. I bring her back to that position, gancho. From here, I bring her forward, and we can end in whatever figure we want to. There's gancho from another position too. From a back ocho, we'll do a couple here. We'll line up so you can see. This is very common, very important, and probably one of the most complex. For the leader, we'll demonstrate first and I'll explain. From second position, he needs to rotate his torso. After transferring weight to his right foot, rotate his torso so she makes a complete turn, so she goes around him almost into her own balance. We send her back to a long step. If we just lead her to a regular ocho, it doesn't happen. We'd have to reach forward, and it's a little more difficult.
Really out of balance off of my axis, so it really doesn't feel comfortable.
It's important for the man to bring her around, and since he's being stationary and she's the moving object, well, the moving person, she comes around the stationary person, which makes it very easy. And that can be done on both sides.
And from the back ocho too, right?
Yes. Note the position of my left shoulder and arm. I'm going to keep opening this as much as I can. I keep turning, inviting her back so that I'm still facing her, even though she's almost all the way around me. We'll do that again. I open the shoulder. She follows the invitation, and I keep the shoulder open. A common mistake is to center to the back ocho, the gancho, and it becomes very cramped here. So it's very uncomfortable. So this way, we maintain the same embrace all the way around the corner. So it looks very comfortable and very elegant. Enganches. An enganche is a type of hooking action which continues on to a next step. Some call it an envelopment, but it's not the same as a gancho. An enganche is a hooking action that can go somewhere else. We're doing it from a cross system, stepping inside the axis and going somewhere else. I'll explain what action it is that helps create the enganche. Where her right foot is now is the axis to be that I'll be stepping around after I pass through the free leg. I step through, and as I turn, the action of the follower turning creates the enganche. And here's another one of my favorites. I got a lot of favorite ones. Okay, this is from the back ocho as well. We'll do a couple first. And I send her to a nice long step, and I step through her trailing leg, her right, creating an enganche, leading her to a back ocho and coming out. So it's a nice energetic movement. The feeling is like we're walking through like a turnstile at a movie theater, just going through.
Really fun.
Yes. Okay, one more time. Side, we go to an ocho, send around the corner, go past. There's lots of fun things you can do with that. And the feeling with this is that, can you do me a favor and put your leg there?
Sure.
Okay, I'll help you. Good. If I were to walk through the leg, the most natural thing for the follower to do would allow it to bend. So if I walk through here, and if it bent, actually,
Oh, the
I'm
other
sorry,
way.
into my,
I see what you're saying.
yeah, so if you're
I got it
turning
now.
to your left,
Okay.
the leg would bend in this
Turn
direction.
or wrap in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And the movement of my body going through, as you'll see here, takes her leg around as well. So that's a typical action of the enganche and why it works. Here's one more, one of my favorites.
Another favorite of George's.
Let's say we create a sacada here, And we bring her around, and she now has a free leg with her right. If I step through, the turning action creates an enganche. She escapes, and we can do it again.
It seems very natural to me because his leg steps right in my way, basically. So what else will I do except enganche?
She responds just by receiving the enganche and escaping. One more time. This section will cover saccadas, also known as displacements. We'll go to a typical saccada combination from position 5. Go to the cross. When he crosses behind, she steps forward in the first step of her molinete. This section where we enter is considered a nickname as a safe place because her leg is moving in the opposite way. And so is the next step here. Because her molinete works in this action, those are considered safe movements. Consider the molinete, back, side, front, side, back, side, front. And we'll make a little more space so you can understand here. If she goes back, side, front, this is a safe place to enter because her next step goes away. This is another safe place to enter because she goes away. This is not so safe. It requires a little more precision. So her leg is going toward the center, across, so it closes. And this next step closes as well. So we can call those steps safe or not safe. So this is safe. This is safe. This is not so safe. There's other uses for this type of movement like drags, etc. But these are all something that we'll cover later on, or I think we did it. But anyway, go to position 5. One entry or saccada. Another entry or saccada. And we'll finish with a typical movement. From here, position 5, one saccada, another saccada. Now there's another typical saccada of the leg called the saccada della pierna, where we actually physically move the leg with contact and physically lead it with the body as well. We'll try that again. Enter, enter. And this next movement would actually be a side movement for her. So there's a moment where I actually stop her body from continuing to the side by holding the position and transferring the weight and the lead around this direction. So I'm actually leading this particular movement with my body with very minimal contact with the leg. So it's more of an illusion. And the feeling of that saccada della pierna is almost upward in that case. So from here, I try to get under the leg to help give her the elevation or the action. You okay? All right.
Sorry.
All right, we'll try it again. So we go to position 5. We enter, it's safe. She goes to her molinete again, safe again. The next movement is not so safe, so I have to be very careful and lead her in the opposite direction. Okay, we'll try a different saccada from position 2, and we're going to talk about triangulation. To the basic, 3 of the basic. I'm going to lead her to one more step while I pivot. You notice where my position is. I'm at the tip of a triangle being formed by her 2 feet and my right foot. I cannot make a sacada or a displacement if I'm not in the right position. I'm too far this way, too far this way. I have to consider myself being at the tip of a pizza slice or something like that. And before I make the sacada, I transfer her weight so that her left leg is free. So as I move, I free her left leg, so it's an illusion. I try not to shoot my leg back because that would be very dangerous for the lady. She won't dance with me again. But I try to change her weight. Another important factor for the leader, on a back sacada especially, is keeping his heel down and not putting the leg up in the air this way.
Yes, please.
I'll show that. Sometimes
You're
you
gonna
see
show the
that.
bad way
I'll
now?
show it, but I won't do it.
I'm risking my life for this
Sometimes
video.
if they're out of position, you see them do this and try to squeeze it through, and it's very scary to see, very scary. And the follower, I'm sure, is not very happy with that. So he sets up a little farther, making his step a little farther than normal. Finishing, facing her, putting her at the tip of the triangle as well. We'll show you from this side. Position 2, 3, and back sacada. I transfer her weight to her right, and I keep her on her balance. We'll show you a nice variation with this. And from this angle. Okay. Sacadas for the lady. This is lots of fun, especially for the lady. If they've done it a couple of times, they get used to it, and they can't wait for you to lead it again because it's their turn to get even.
Since we can't do it all by ourselves, we're just waiting for you guys.
Okay. We can enter here. We pivot her to wait on her left foot while we get out of the way, and we lead her through our position that we'll be leaving. My right foot's free. I'll go forward, and she's going to enter.
Into his safe space. Now I
Yes.
can enter into his safe space.
Yes. Now this position here, I keep my arm position and the embrace very square to her, even though my hips are sideways. When I walk through, I send her at the same time. So she goes through, and we can finish the movement. So I'll try from this side. And you can see here, I hold her. I do like a forward ocho, and I go through and I send her through this space, which I leave. She goes around me. I pivot, and I might come in for another sacada and finish with some ochos or something, similar. The important thing with this movement is to set up the follower on her balance so that she has a feeling of waiting while we get out of the way. She has a feeling of waiting. We continue to move, and we get out of the way. And another of my favorites.
My favorite too in this case.
Okay, is the back sacada for the lady from a back ocho, which we'll show it a couple times from different directions. Okay, try again. Which Christy does so well.
Because it's my favorite.
Back ocho, back sacada. Let me explain a little bit about the lead, how to make this happen. Because the back saccada for the woman is so extreme in the change of position, we actually run out of body lead. Let me explain. To get her to turn facing me, we use the impulse we learned a little bit earlier about the back ochos, but when we start running out of body lead, we have to start using our frame and the embrace and make adjustments. So I'm actually going to keep turning her and keep asking her to turn, even with all the way through. But at first, I try to use as much impulse as possible. So the feeling of getting her to the back ocho, the back saccada, is through the ocho. If I send her to the ocho, I try to spin her on her axis there, like magic. So the feeling is like putting like English, or putting masse or curving it. So I set up the ocho with a lot of spin so she can very easily make that saccada. So I try to do as much of the work for her as possible. All she does is go with the flow.
It's interesting too about the pie shape now because I get to be the tip of the pie. I prefer apple though.
Okay.
I get to be the point of the apple pie.
I like peach pie. Sorry. Okay, we'll come around from this side one more time. You can see the saccada for the lady. Very nice position. Planeos and points. Planeos are skimming action. Well, let's see. Let's do a typical planeo so they can see what we're doing. Quick, slow. I plane, and I pick up the foot. We'll do that again. I'm using a planing or skimming action with my free leg. The feeling is that I'm creating a large ocho with a large movement. I'm skimming, and on my way around, I happen to be picking up her foot for a drag. Let me explain some of the theory behind the planeo. We step forward with our weight on our left, our upper body turning well in the direction we'd like to go, and we're leaving the free foot well behind us with the toe turned out using the inside edge of the foot or the shoe so it creates like a planing action, almost like you're shaving the floor. In this case, we're leaving the foot out so that we could pick up her free foot on the way to a barrida. And that's a nice movement. That's one for the man. Let's show about leading some for the lady. This is a lot of fun. Second position, and we can hold this position here with, I would call it down energy. I'll show you from this side. A normal step to the second position is just walking and then going, etc., etc., etc. In this case, we're going to hold her in position with down energy. Using disassociation, I keep her where I want her, and I might move somewhere else. In this case, I could walk backwards, keeping her in position. Just by the way that I'm holding her frame, her body, in a way I'm telling her, okay, not to do anything, be patient, peace, just, cool it, like hold it right there. The feeling is like freeze, freeze. That's the feeling. Keeping her on her balance. I might take her around and maybe bring her back to forward step and finish, in a variety of ways. Planeos can be done in both sides, both directions, and something interesting might be something of a change of direction here, where I bring her to a forward planeo and maybe make her stop here, do something cute. But there's many things that can be done with the planeo, and it's the leader's imagination that he can use, even from like a back boleo and keeping that foot there. So many options to do. Even like a forward step. Even from here, a forward step or a back. So as many things can be done just by setting up our partner in a way we'd like them to start the planeo. So it's our choice, almost in any step we'd wish to do, by holding their position, even going to the cross, putting on the foot we'd like her to be, like in this case the right foot, bring her around.
Actually.
Yes, I'm third. Thank you. They were crossed. I thought, okay, very good.
Left foot was on the other side that moment.
Looks like the foot's chasing me. Okay, I'll make it stop. Okay. So these are lots of fun movements done by leading planeos to the follower.
And now we talk a little bit about the points.
Thank you.
Always a fun thing to do.
This is something that can be done in both open and close embrace. We'll demonstrate in close embrace first. Let's say in our back ochos, we hear something rhythmic, or we're at a milonga where it's very crowded. So in this case, I might do checking actions to stay with the music before we continue. There might not be any room. Checking action, check, check. If I turn her body back to me, she exit with the cross. The follower just goes for her step, and we take the step away, add another, add another, add another, or continue with whatever step we're doing. This could go from anywhere, even from the inside step. Check, 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 check. Even from the open embrace, part of it is leading with intention. Point, point. These are very popular to do, especially milonga, valse, anywhere actually. Point, 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 point. So sometimes you can disassociate, with practice.
You stole 1 point away from me.
I stole a point, yes. Point, point, point. So those are lots of fun things you can do at the milonga. Calasita and carpa, or carousel and leaning action. We'll start with the carousel, or the calasita. A common place is position 2, where we have a pause, a normal pause. We might, because of navigation, we might want to turn our partner to go somewhere else, so we line her up, then we might start dancing in a new direction. So the calasita is the action of the turning around, the carousels, like a little merry-go-round effect. So I keep her on her balance, I find that balance. Sometimes you can give a little upward tone so she knows not to go anywhere. Sometimes it helps her with her position if she wants to rise or create a nice line. But it's It's the balancing action which is very important for the follower to feel. The feeling of stillness and not going anywhere. If I take her off her balance, nothing happens that goes right. As long as I keep facing her, keeping her on her balance, then we can do very many interesting things with the cabecita. The cabecita at second position is usually the one that's most popular. So from here, we might walk around. We'll wait for her to do some adornments. And I'll start feeling the action going in the body. When I pause, so does she, and then we can walk out. This can also be done in close embrace. Second position, and I give a little upward feel to her. I hold her in a way that she knows that we're not going anywhere. So my chest is telling her to stay in one place while I may be walking around her. It can be done in a very close way, in a very upright, and we can walk out. Or we can do the same movement and start to create a bit more of a leaning action. You want to go leaning?
Yes, I love that.
Okay, all right. This movement gives the follower lots of chances to play. She can use a variety of leg motions on the floor. When I stop, she can do little creative things wherever we are. And when we're about to exit, I might just give that feeling that we're about to go walking. It's not something you say, it's not a hand signal, it's just something in your body that it's like taking a breath before going. It's like just taking, like before you dive off a diving board or before you step off a curb. I might increase the carpa, but the important thing is that I remain facing her with my body. Very square, we could actually almost let go. Then we can exit. Have fun with cabecitas and carpas. Change of direction in turn. This is a very interesting movement which puts the follower from a back direction to a forward direction, or from a forward direction to a backward direction, using a very interesting set of figures. We'll start this one from the back ocho. She goes back. Now I send her forward, and we can continue here. Where she goes forward, then I send her to a backward movement. She goes forward. Now she goes back. Now how do we do that? From the back ocho, I'm going to create a new axis or a new space that she goes around. When I send her to a back step, her next movements are going to be coming around me because I change my movements or change my center, or I change the center of the movement. So I go forward with my left, and I cross behind with my right, which brings her around me. And from here, this one's a little more interesting because of our position. It's very strange. Shadow position. I need to actually block her in this direction by getting in front of her so she can then go around me. If I stay on this side, it doesn't work so well because she'll be going into my position that I need to move. So I go forward, back, side, front. We'll do that again. So she is left foot free. We're in cross system, as you can see. I go side, and then I kind of like, how would I say, I open my right shoulder, right side, which brings her to a very interesting movement from forward to a back, almost in a half turn. Quick, quick, slow. Let's try to do the whole thing. It's another one of my favorite steps. There, changes of direction. In turn. Volcadas and colgadas, spilling actions and hanging actions. Spilling and hanging.
I think I'm the one that's going to be spilling, first of all.
Yeah, we'll start with the volcada. Volcada means to spill. We're almost completing our basic or a basic. We can take this from almost any side step, or let's say in this case, maybe a side step for the guy just prior to her action on a back ocho, which is led by his upper body before he steps back. I can step back with my left, and my right foot will go diagonally back, taking her off her axis. I keep her on her axis with my upper body, my chest. And this tells her not to go anywhere, almost as though I'm putting her in a partial carpa. And the next logical step for her would be a side step, and she might take a step. But the feeling is spilling for her. I take her to the side, and my body's telling her not to go anywhere, so she stays to the chest, so that feeling of spilling. But at this time, I'm going to stay square in front of her as I take her off her axis. I now face her, and now we have a nice action. From this angle, I mark her step first. So she's solidly on her right leg right now. I'm taking her into a partial lean, and the left leg comes out. One more time from here. So these are fun movements you can do. They're commonly done from the back ocho, and this is a good way to start as well. I'll lead her to an ocho or two, and it's the same position that you see, the similarity. You just step a little farther back than normal, and that puts her into the volcada. One more time. From this angle, so you can see where my right leg is going, so I can support that position. Here it comes. And we can exit to the cross. The next movement. Lots of fun. These are like the carnival rides of tango, aren't they?
Yes. Some people say the wee step. Because we say wee when we're riding around.
This is known as the colgada, which means like hanging, or kind of like a, there's other terms for it, but it's the feeling of just hanging out there like this. We'll demonstrate the steps so you can see. Then we'll explain how it's done. So there's a moment that we share an axis in an outward direction, and we're both sort of spinning away from each other. We can do this in close or open. We'll do this again in the open position. She goes around, and boy, is that fun.
Definitely.
Take some practice, but the feeling for this is that I'm keeping her on her right foot. So her axis is very clean on the right foot. Wherever I turn, I face her axis. I might have my weight on my right foot or my left, but during the turn itself, I change weight. If the turn is to the right, I change weight from the right to the left, and now my right's free and we can step out. We'll do that again, and we'll create a little bit more turn. So this is a good way to practice. You step close, and then you let her out. Then you play with the weight balance, the counter weighting. So the right's free, left is free. And I start the turn, right, left, and out. Have fun spilling and hanging. Embellishments. Embellishments are something that the leader does to beautify a movement. Usually they're done by the follower, but occasionally the leader can do an embellishment that sometimes helps enhance the movement that's coming up. In this case, we go to the cross. I might do a point just prior to a sacada. So we'll do that again. We'll go to the cross. I time it so I can enter at that moment. I'll show you from this side. Etc. Now here's another one. We take her to the cross, send her into some ochos, and we play with the space between the feet. Just playing, just playing, just playing. Somebody told me it's like a cat lapping milk or something like that, so it's pretty funny. It was pretty nice. It can be done. You can even do little scoops like this. Her trailing foot can be lifted in a little scooping action. So those are nice and fun things you can do. And here's one that's a little more exciting. And this is from a back ochos where I touch the dangerous leg that's going through the inside. As she goes around, I touch, cross behind, and I can finish. We'll show from this angle. As she makes her back ocho, instead of a lapis, I will touch the inside foot and very, very lightly, but my foot is ready to do a boleo behind and cross behind. So that on her next step, I'm changing weight to my left and I can enter with my right to finish the figure. We'll try it again a couple times. Couple more ochos. Nice and fun. And another movement that's very popular or very common is walking outside the partner and the leader making some adornments, which probably the follower will start following as well with the extra time that she has. So we'll show you this. A common place is to go to the cross, and we can walk back. There's many adornments the leader can make. He can do amages, he can do points, amage, point, or change whatever action he wants to create a little more interesting actions on his footwork. This section will be on milonga etiquette or milonga protocol. There are codes of conduct at milongas. Every milonga in the world where you go to, there are rules of conduct which I'll explain. One of them is how to ask the woman to dance. That's probably the most important one. It's not proper for a gentleman to merely walk up to a woman and offer his hand. She might not be ready to dance with me. She may not prefer the orchestra. She may be engaged in conversation with her friends. She may have been stepped on, or she may be resting or just not in the mood. The proper way to ask someone to dance is much more subtle and something that is developed strictly in Buenos Aires a long time ago. It's called a cabeceo. The interested parties, in this case the man wishing to dance with a woman, will look around the room for the woman he wishes to dance to. When he finds the one he wants to dance to, he makes eye contact, and hopefully she's making eye contact as well. And that signals that she would like to dance with him also. without any words exchanged, without the embarrassment of the gentleman walking up and getting turned down. It could be an issue with pride or who knows, but it's not good to go all the way across the room and have to walk all the way back. Sometimes you can be very smooth about it and just keep walking and pretend that you didn't really stop, but the proper Milonga protocol is to catch her eye, look at her, and she knows that she's looking at me, so she makes eye contact as well. And this is where I give the cabeceo, like a suggestion, a nodding of the head to dance. And she nods also. And we start to walk toward each other up to the dance floor, where we take the embrace and start to dance. Now, one of the ways by the time you get to the dance floor is, which direction do you face? Line of dance being counterclockwise. It's not normally wise to stand with your back to the oncoming traffic, because people are dancing. If you're not aware that they're coming forward, you might be blocking them, and you might be too involved in this space, or dancing with your partner. You may not be aware of what's happening behind you. A proper way, or a very good technique, is to put the woman to the outside so you can see the oncoming traffic and the space ahead. Most often you'll start with a side step, and in this case you can change the cross system and then go out, or salida, to the dance floor. So this is a very useful way of entering the floor. We wouldn't normally start this way, because then we would have to go back and someone might be behind us, and that might not be good. We might have to step on someone, and then we'll have to go outside and settle things like gentlemen. But generally, you keep the woman to the outside, and you can put your back to the middle and start to the side. And this is where cross system becomes very effective. All you have to do is make the switch, and you're already going down the room in cross system or ochos or whatever you'd like to do. Another thing about Milonga protocol is observing line of dance, which we talked about, and the lanes. There are imaginary lanes at a Milonga, and usually the lane is about slightly more than the width of the dancers, especially in a crowded place. And the lane starts from the nearest free area of the dance floor, on the edge near the tables. So that's this outermost lane would be the fast lane or the expert lane, and it's reserved for the best of the best dancers. To survive in this lane, you have to know what you're doing, you have to keep up with traffic, and you obviously have to have some experience. There's other imaginary lanes. Let's say if you're not so experienced, you might take maybe another lane in or so, and leave the outer lane open, and you leave that open in respect for the milongueros and all the experienced dancers. And in some milongas, there's even more of a lane on the inside, and sometimes the beginners will dance in this area, maybe the center or the innermost lane. And this way you can practice your figures. If you're not too used to dancing, walking line of dance, you can play in the middle. And this way, no one gets interrupted in their flow. And then when you get better, you work yourself toward the outside. Now, there's certain figures that you execute at the Milonga, which is important to begin and start in line of dance. So if you start a figure, and if you start going off, you've lost your lane, and pretty much you're right to stay there. If you try to go back, you'll probably not be able to, because it's normally crowded and you can't get back into your lane. So you can't lose your lane. So the figures that you do have to begin and end in the same lane, so that you observe the lanes and the line of dance at the Milonga. That's part of Milonga protocol. A couple other things which are a little more simple or earthy is to be well dressed, to have clean shoes, combed hair, everything very nice. Be as the best you can be when you go to Milonga. You have only one chance to make a first impression. Use it well. We hope you enjoyed this Dance Vision instructional video. I'd like to thank Christy Coté for partnering me.
Very welcome. Thank you for joining us. See you in the Milongas.